Well, we've done the spiritual gifts. Hopefully you still remember your spiritual passions and heart, your natural abilities, your personality. Now we're down to these life experiences. And tonight we're going to give you some time. Tonight's going to be a little different. There'll be a lot more time that you're going to be spending. It's going to feel like a lot of quiet time. And that's okay. But we're going to be trying to piece together some life events that have been significant for you, and you're going to, I think, begin to see some themes and some things pull together as you do that. We're going to be using these little yellow note cards, and what this does is, one thing, you can't get real wordy. So, and it just lets you be able to say a name or an event or 2 or 3, 6 words maybe, and that's about all it's going to fit on here. We're not wanting details. We're wanting just enough information for you to remember what that event is. This is not something for anybody else to see, and so at this point, and so we just want you to, feel free to write what you need to write. And if you want to use code or nicknames or whatever, that's fine. If you want to write down numbers and dates or whatever, that's fine. So those will be things that we're doing. And the first part of the exercise, let me explain it just very briefly, is you're going to be writing down on the yellow pads, it's kind of like machine gun. Just as you think about significant things from your past, just write it down. It could be something that are real obvious, like a marriage or the birth of a kid. It could be maybe some leadership, something that you held in a group. It could be a trip you took that was really significant for whatever reason. It could be, those kind of things. It can be a coach, a teacher, somebody that influenced you. It could be maybe a relationship that didn't turn out so well. Maybe I was engaged or close to engaged, dated somebody seriously, or maybe even married and it just blew up. And, that'd be something, because those leave a mark. And then key events of your life, everything from graduations, marriage, birth to kids, job transitions, spiritual events. I know there was 1 or 2 high school youth camps that very much impacted my life. And they're on my board. At least I think they are. Traumatic events. Some of these are a little of trauma, but blessings. I know last week the Foyles were talking about how Holden, that was traumatic, but hey, God showed up and we got through it. So there may be some of those kind of things that show up. Anything that's significant achievements, recognition. There could be a trip that was a game changer, some award, some promotion, some, one of the things that I started realizing as my board, as I started looking at it, was there's so many things where I ended up doing leadership things that I never ran for. I never ran for any political offices, but it was like, in my fraternity, I ended up being the vice president, which was in charge of the pledge, process, or high school swim team. It's not something you go around going, vote for me. It's just, it kind of happened, and some of these kind of things. So that showed up on some of my stuff. And just to give you some ideas of what were on my yellows, I'm just going to share a few of these. I grew up in a very racially integrated, first from birth literally till probably about 9th grade, until my parents moved across town to a more white part of town. But I grew up around a lot of diversity. And so it's not weird for me now. But I don't realize that until I reflected back and go, why is that not weird for me? Well, it's because I used to play with everybody, on the playground and do that kind of stuff. Here's a negative one from my early childhood, formative years. I don't remember the exact grade. It was at the earliest 1st grade, probably latest 2nd grade. So I was young. I was exposed and to pornography, and it messed me up for years. I was too little to be able to process that, but it made an impact. And it's part of my story that I have to unravel of what's God doing, and some of those kind of things. What are some other interesting things? Different points when did I start having what you'd call regular habits and disciplines with spiritual things? Quiet times and, that sort of things. And marry my wife, kids, lots of different things there. One of the negative ones, there was a trip our family took to New Mexico in the Red River area, I believe. And I was in seminary at the time, and I was real looking forward to this trip to get out, hike, clear my head, and this, that, and the other. And we prophetically stayed at a place called Bitter Creek Ranch. And it was bitter because all I wanted to do was get away from everybody, including my wife and kids. And my wife and kids were stuck in this tiny little cabin, and they were miserable because there was nothing else for them to do. And it was really a watershed moment to realize how selfish I had become in my family life. And it was the beginning of a turnaround. There wasn't a fast turnaround, but it was significant. And so we still have, as people say, is it too soon? When they tell a joke about we still kind of, is it too soon to talk about Bitter Creek? But we laugh about it now. Some leadership things. I positively came here and actually this month in 1996. But as a few of the old timers can testify, the first 18 months here were not exactly a cakewalk. It was more of a bloodbath, and it was just a rough situation that we came into. So that was impactful. Opportunities to teach at seminary and grade and do things, these all have shaped me. And as I mentioned last week, there's things I will need to add, and I'll be doing that as you guys do your homework stuff tonight as well. But there are lots of different things that are on, my board that just show that you just want to just get this stuff out. Don't try to put it in order. Don't try to even separate good from bad right now. Just get it out. And then we'll go to the next step from there. The next step will be we will separate them out eventually in what are the more positive aspects and the stuff that was a little harder. And then once we've done that, we're going to put them in a chronological order that gives us some sense of the flow. And then you can kind of categorize the season of life that these things happened in. And then at the end, we'll be able to hopefully look and see what are some themes that seem to run through our lives that are part of your story. We talked about God doesn't waste your life. He doesn't waste events. And you will be able to connect with people that other people can't because of the things you've been through, good and bad. And we just need to be able to identify what those things are, so if it comes up in a conversation, you'll be able to have a good conversation, about that and be able to enter in and do some things. So I want to give us a lot of time to do this. We're going to give you about 25 minutes or so here just for the rapid fire. So get your yellow sheets. I know some folks came in late. Mark, I know you probably need one of those. You get one of these. Oh, nice. Anybody else? Okay, just because this can be a very personal experience. If you want, for any reason, I've opened up the classroom just to your right and the two across the hall. If you want to go there just so you can be alone and not feel like somebody's breathing down your neck or anything, feel free to do that. And I'll kind of give maybe a 1 or 2 minute warning when we're about at that point to regather and hear for the next step. But step number 1 is just many different events, people, things that come to mind, and then we'll go from there. So
we just kind